let's start. So welcome to the Deal Final Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, the CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. Is the UK's highest rated platform to find deals. And as you know, we're on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcer members to find another 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. The purpose with your Deal Final Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests who will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and making deals and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it really is my pleasure today to introduce my good friend Motiul on today's Deal Final Corner. So Motiul started investing in property at the age of 19 while studying at the university in London. And no, that wasn't 3 years ago. I know he looks quite young, but no, that was a bit more than that. So he's self-taught. He then continued to buy deals after deals and using creative strategies, no money down strategies. And this was at a time before which they were even taught on courses. And then he's been adding value to properties through extension, developing and title splits. And after achieving his financial and property goals within 1 year, within his first year of really setting out and go big and do what he wanted to do in property, he actually retired from property as well. But it wasn't too long before he returned. Firstly, because he was longing, for his passion for deals, finding deals, doing deals, and structuring deals. And secondly, he was driven by this passion of helping other startups and scale-up property businesses, offering consultancy and his extensive experience doing creative deals. Motiul is also the host of the mighty Stratford PPN monthly networking meeting. So if you are around London, so this is in person in Stratford as well as broadcasted live. So wherever you are in the world. So if you can come to this call, you can come to Motiul's meeting basically. And it's one of the most and well-attended meetings in London. So Motiul's area of expertise are primarily around structuring creative deals, doing no money down deals and HMOs, but he's got an extensive experience for many years doing rent-to-rent, title splits, refurb, and development projects. So he's got lots of projects on the go actually at the moment, including some development in commercial properties, and he's involved in lots of JVs, as well as mentoring peers in various strategies. So what can you expect from today's call? So Motiul is going to talk to us about how you can find more deals, do more deals, and make more money from every deal. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing more of Motiul's talk today. So please give a massive virtual Property Filter welcome to Mr. Motiul Islam.
Thanks everybody else as well for joining us today, and thank you, Guillaume, for inviting me to come and speak at your weekly webinar. Okay, so quick tech check. Can everybody else also hear and see me? If you can, put a one in the chat box, please, because we're going to make this interactive. I want everybody to get a lot out of this session. So you're going to get more out of this session if you're taking part in it as well. So if you can use the chat feature and put one in the, sorry, I'm just going to try and get my slides up as well at the same time. Okay, so today I'm going to be speaking to you about creative property investment strategies, how you can find more deals, do more deals, and make more from the deals that you are finding. So let's start with a little bit about, I'm going to start off with, can't even get my clicker to work today. Okay, we're going to start off with a section that I like to call deal or no deal. This is interactive, so I'm going to need everybody to take part in this. We're going to cover a bit about systems and processes and why they're so important. I'm going to be sharing my 4-stage framework for investing in property, some case studies, and there's going to be a section for Q&A. So please do put your Q&A, the questions that you have in the chat feature. And we'll be covering it as we go along. Please if you haven't got your cameras on, please put your cameras on as well. Take screenshots, pictures, put it on social media, but please do also tag us in as you do so. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the program on Channel 4, which is Deal or No Deal. This is very similar to that, but this is to do with property investing. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I just want to see where you are in terms of what you feel are deals and what you don't feel are deals. So the first question I've got for you guys is, I've got a vendor and they're facing repossession and they want to sell their property. Their property is worth £100,000 and they're willing to accept £80,000. Now, if you feel something like this is a deal, I want you to put deal in the chat. And if you feel it's a no deal, please put no deal. So Jess sorry, is it Mahon saying deal? Ivan saying deal. Gilliam saying deal. So a lot of people are saying these are deals. Zulfi saying it's a deal. Andy saying it's a deal. So yeah, so this is basically a below market value deal. So a lot of you guys think that's a deal. So that's great. It's good to see that you guys are saying, do they have a mortgage? Well, it's irrelevant whether they have a mortgage. They would have a mortgage because they're facing repossession, but a property that you're getting at £80,000 and it's worth £100,000, you're getting it for below market value. So, and again, Mukesh has asked, do the numbers stack up? Yes. Well, at £100,000 valuation and £80,000 purchase price, you're getting a £20,000 discount. Who has first claim on shortfall? Not sure. We'll come back to that, Nicholas. I'm not sure what you mean by the shortfall, but yeah, keep on putting your questions in, and we'll try and cover all of these questions later on as well. So we'll go on to the second question. So now we have an investor that wants to offload an investment property. Has tenants in situ and property is generating £1,250 per month. Now this property is worth £250,000 and they want to sell it with the tenant for £250,000. Does that sound like a deal for you? If you feel that this one is a deal, put in 2D. And if you feel it's not a deal, put in 2ND. Ivan's come back straight away saying it's not a deal. Joshua's saying it's not a deal. A lot of no deals, not a lot of deals. Okay. So we're feeling like properties that have tenants in situ and it's only creating a certain amount of cash flow. 6%, I think I just saw. Sorry, this chat is going a bit faster than I can read, but that's okay. Yeah, a lot of people saying no deal. So that's not a deal for everyone. That's fine. Look, guys, there is no wrong answer. So whatever you feel it is, that we're just trying to figure out and find out how you feel about deals. The next one is an investor has a property worth £350,000. It's vacant and it needs some work. Now, they need £370,000 because they have some outstanding debts. So they've got £350,000 property and they want to sell it, but they need £370,000. Is that something that you guys think it would be a deal, or you would want to buy that? If you feel that this is a deal for you, put in 3D. If it's a no deal, put 3ND. Interesting. I've got a lot of people coming out with lease options, PLO, assisted sale, possible deal, maybe a PLO. So now we're getting a little bit more creative. So that's interesting to see the type of answers we were getting here. Okay. So a little statement I like to tell everybody is you can always make money from property. As long as you provide service to a vendor, you create a desirable place for a renter, or you add value or provide value for a buyer. So as long as you're providing valuable, when I say valuable service to a vendor, we're basically helping them to sell their property. A tenant, when you're giving them a nice, desirable places to rent, they will pay a premium. And a buyer, as long as you can help them to buy their property, they will pay you also a premium. So that's something that we should always keep in mind when we're trying to make money from property. So I'm not going to go through this because Gilliam's given me a introduction where he's pretty much covered everything. So I am a married father of four, been in property for over 20 years, and I host PPN Stratford. And as Gilliam said, structuring deals, no money down, and setting up HMOs are my speciality. I do have a mix of single lets, multi-lets, HMOs, service accommodation and land within my portfolio, and I do manage single lets and HMOs for other investors as well. Okay, so why do you need framework systems and processes in property? Well, if you have sometimes we have framework systems and processes which are given to us. Like for instance, driving on the roads, we are given a set of rules that we have to drive on the left-hand side. We have to stop at red lights. We have to go when it's green, etc. These are systems and processes and frameworks which are given to us and we follow. But in business, sometimes we have to create our own, and these create niches which allow us to actually find out where the deals are, how to do deals, and how to actually make more money from the deals that we're doing. The system that the framework that I've developed over more than 20 years now, because I've been investing in property for more than 20 years now, called it FABC, the FABC investment framework. Now, FABC is an acronym, 4 letters, stands for finding deals, the acquisition process, building value, and then how we cash flow it. So I'll quickly go through, so this is finding deals, acquiring, quickly go through each stage. So finding deals. Now, many of you might already be using Rightmove, Zoopla, estate agents. Some of you may already be sources and packages, or you may be using sources and packages. But we have direct to vendor, leaflets, letters, social media, online marketing, and paid ads. But we've also got property filter, where it's scouring Rightmove, Zoopla, estate agents that are already on there. And it's allowing you to do leaflet dropping as well as direct to vendor letters. So why not take advantage of a tool that is allowing you to do all of these different, or use all of these different tools to find deals. Right, now when we say acquisition, when we go into acquisition and control, acquisition and control is more to do with financial tools. So it's not always to do with banks. It's more creative ways that you're finding a way to solve a problem for the vendor. So BMV is very simple. You're just making an offer, doing a quick sell, or doing a sell when the vendor, basically to their timeline. Vendor finance or vendor assisted deposits, where the vendor is helping you to actually purchase the property, where they're using their equity towards either the deposit or the full amount of the purchase price. You have gifted deposits, cashbacks, EDCs, which is exchange with delayed completions, we've got purchase lease options, we've got back-to-back flips, which are assisted sales and joint ventures. These are all financial tools and ways to buy property. Then we have building value. Building value is how we can add value to the property. And the reason we want to do this is to get our money back out. Now, if you're buying with finance, you want to be adding value to get as much money back out. You can get a little out, so you're leaving a little in. You can get all out, so you've got no money down. But the best ones are where you're getting more than what you put in the first place. So you're getting paid to buy property. And we've got things like title splitting, seller conversions, loft conversions, garage conversions, commercial conversions, extensions, adding rooms, lease extensions, planning gains, and refurbishments. Now, the one that most people know is BRR, which is the last one, refurbishments. But as you can see, this list is quite extensive, and this is not everything. There are so many more things that can be done to add value to properties and get your money out. And lastly, once you've bought a property, you've added value, or you've done a creative, or you use a creative way to purchase the property, you need to now make money from it. So how do you cash flow it? Now, you can use it as a single let, multi-let, HMO, service accommodation, CMO. You can use it as social housing or assisted living. Now, depending on the actual property itself, where it's located, and what its best use classes would be, you'd choose the best use for it at the end. Sorry, what is CMO? This is like houses in multiple occupation. You've got commercial property in multiple occupation as well. So you have serviced offices, for instance, CMOs. All right, so today, as I said, finding deals, property filters. Sorry, no, I thought somebody said something there. No, property filter is brilliant for finding your deals. Today, I want to concentrate on acquiring and controlling property and building value and equity. So is it okay if I share some of the deals that I have done to cover many of those different categories within building value and acquiring and controlling property?
Yeah, go on. Yeah. I think we all want to see the deals. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading the questions as well. Difference between multi-lets. Okay, HMOs would be a house in multiple occupation, but you can have multi-lets where you can have multiple units that might be flats as well as HMOs, or you have different types of units within a property. So multi-lets, you can have a property with, let's just say we've got 4 flats, but they're not actual flats, so they might be flat-lets. So it's not exactly a HMO. Cool. But very good question again, what are multi-lets? So this property, by the way, was one of my very first properties that I bought. And the reason for showing this one is what can be done when buying a property. But let me give you a little caveat. Although this was my very first property that I bought, I didn't get to this one as easily as I'm going to show you. The very first 3 properties that I tried to buy, I was at university trying to purchase them. And I got gazumped on all 3 of them. And so for the next 3 to 4 years, I was just watching the market, and I just thought property was probably the worst thing to do. But in the 4 years that I hadn't bought after getting gazumped, the property market had doubled in price. So I went from trying to buy 3 properties on my own to purchasing this very first property with 2 JV partners. So the tables had kind of like flipped. I was trying to buy 3, and now I had to buy one with 2 more JV partners. So this property we bought with the vision of converting it into 3 flats. It was an end of terrace property with 2 garages. It had previously been used as a shop. So we bought it with the vision that we're going to convert this into flats. So we converted it into a studio flat, a 1-bedroom flat, and on the first floor we converted it into a HMO. And I've got some floor plans to show you as well how we've done that. On the left hand side, can you see my mouse? Yeah. Okay. On the left hand side, this is a studio flat which has its own entrance. We have the green area here which goes up to the first floor. Again, it has its own entrance, and that was a 4-bedroom HMO. And at the back we had a 1-bedroom flat. So we bought it and added value by getting planning gain and converting it into 3 flats. But then we also had 2 garages and a cellar, which were basically just accumulating lots of junk. We were trying to figure out what can we do rather than having all of this space that can't really be used for anything else except for storing junk. Is there something better that we can do with it? So then we went for planning permission to convert the garages into usable space, and as well as the basement into usable space. We decided we're going to get planning permission, and we converted the basement and added that to the studio flat to make a 2-bedroom flat. And we converted the 1-bedroom flat and made that into a 3-bedroom flat. At the same time, we went down from 4 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms with the HMO. And the reason for that was, as much as you'd want to have as many rooms as possible in a HMO, we found that we had a small kitchen and no living space for people to congregate. And it made more sense to break through one of the walls, make it a kitchen stroke living room for people to be able to congregate, people to be able to cook and basically spend time not just only in their own rooms. We get similar amounts of money in terms of rent. So we didn't actually lose much by doing that because we got better tenants by doing that in the first place. So that was the reason for converting the HMO from a 4-bed to a 3-bed. So one other thing that we did do as well, by the way, this might not be what everybody would advise on. We bought the property for above market value. We bought during a time where property prices were rising, and there was a lot of competition for properties. So we ended up buying the property for above market value. But you can still buy properties for above market value and still leave no money in. If you have the right visions, if you know what you are doing, and this is the reason for having systems and processes. This is the reason for using the 4-stage framework to figure out what is it that you can do to the property. what ways can you add value and get your money out? So what we did, as I said, was converted it to flats initially. We then went on to get more planning game to convert the 1 bed to a 2 bed. The studio to a 2 bed and the 1 bed to a 3 bed. We had a little bit of problems as well with one of our JV partners, and we ended up having to buy him out. So look, property is a journey, and this very first property taught me a lot of things about property as well as people. And we ended up buying one of the partners out, but we did end up refinancing all of the money out, and to this day we still own this property. Numbers wise, we bought it for 295. We refinanced at 327, getting all of our money out. It's currently valued at approximately 750,000. We own it on one title, so we haven't done the title split, but we have the ability to add more value by doing a title split. Now, we're not intending to do that unless we sell. So at this moment, it's just held on a single title. This property rents for 4,500, and its mortgage is £1,500 currently. Now, this will fluctuate, obviously, because we're on a standard variable rate. If interest rates go up, then we're going to get affected by it. And if they come back down, we'll be paying less as well. But the reason we're on the standard variable rate is we're tied into the old previous rates. And it just, at this moment in time, we're not affected enough to want to refinance onto a new fixed rate. Okay. Yeah, so these are just some of the things we did. Set on this one, basically, we've done 2 sets of planning game, conversion to flats, seller conversion, and garage conversion. Now, after doing this one of my friends asked, could I do it again? And the answer was, yes, I could definitely do it again, but I fell into the trap that most investors do. I could do it again, but I had no money. So I said to my friend, look, I can do it again, that's not a problem, but I don't have the funds. If you can find the funds, we could definitely buy another property and do something similar. And his response was, you know what, I do have access to the funds, so can we just find another property and do it again? And this became the model that I initially started buying the first few properties, basically just rinse and repeat, do the same thing. And this was the next property that we bought. So this was bought with myself and my friend. And again, if you can notice, it's a large property, and we decided to convert this one into 2 flats. This one was a little bit more easier because now I knew what could be done, what to look out for. So this property already had planning permission for conversion to flats. We already had the services separated. All I had to do was actually go in and do the works, as in put a physical wall up, put in 2 kitchens and 2 bathrooms. So this was a lot more easier. Now, because I understood the process, I could look out for properties that had these features like planning permission already in place, the ability to convert. So this one we bought for below market value. I learned from the last one that if you can, always buy below market value. So we bought it for below market value, converted it to 2 flats, used one as a HMO. What is EOT? End of terrace. End of terrace. Sorry, I'm not sure if I've said your name correctly, and forgive me if I've pronounced it incorrectly. Yeah, so EOT stands for end of terrace. So we bought this for below market value, converted it to 2 flats. It already had planning permission. Used one as a HMO, minimo. Again, this one was a 4-bedroom HMO. Used one as a 2-bedroom flat. We refinanced all the money out, paid back our investor. But before that happened, the process that I was always thinking about was, how can I pay back the investor using the rental money? And that can't be done, as it takes way too long. So the only way to actually do it was to refinance. Now, I'm sure many of you understand this now, but at that time, nobody was teaching that you could refinance and get money out. Nobody was teaching that there are ways of adding value and getting your money out, because the property value had gone up. So my thought process was, the only way I can pay back the investor was out of rental income. So when I figured out we could pay back the investor using the added value, that's exactly what we did on this one. We went back to my very first one as well and refinanced at that. It was at that stage that we done that. We refinanced and got that one refinanced and paid our first JV partner. So I'm just trying to give you a bit of a context of how thought process went and how we figured out how to do these no money left in and no money down deals. Cool. So I'm going to go on to that question that I did ask. An investor has a property worth 350,000. It's vacant and needs some works. They need £370,000 because they have some debts. And many of you said PLO. Ruth, you've asked how long did it take to get the money out? It was done within 12 months. So we, on the second deal, we done the refurbishments, we done the conversion to 2 flats, and then we refinanced and got all of the money out. Does it cash flow? Yes, I still own both these 2 properties to this day because they cash flow very well. First one, cash flow positive in excess of just under £3,000 right now, and the second one is approximately £1,800 right now. It's cash flowing. So yes, the second one also cash flows positive. So back to the investor that has a property worth £350,000 and they need to sell it for 370 because they have debts. Many of you said PLO, and you'd be right. Yes, it can be done with a PLO, right? And this is the property. Basically, what has happened here was the vendor had this property. It's in Doncaster. It's an 11-bed HMO with license on sewage and planning permission, and they'd been renting it by a local agent for many years. The problem they had was the agent was not looking after the property. The tenant types they had was not great, and the property had fallen into disrepair. During this time, they'd gone abroad, and then eventually they stopped getting paid because the managing agent hadn't been letting it out very well. The tenants had stopped paying, and they'd in turn not gotten paid. And for almost 11 months, they hadn't paid their mortgage. They put the property on the market to sell it. It was on the market for £420,000. They'd had an offer for £350,000, which they reluctantly accepted because they had a mortgage of £350,000, which they thought if they had sold it for £350,000, that would get cleared and they'd be rid of. They eventually found out that that wouldn't actually clear everything because they'd have a few more bills like the solicitor's fees and the estate agent's fees. They initially approached myself and said, would I be interested in taking on the property? And I did offer them a purchase lease option at £350,000, and they refused. A few months later, they came back and asked, look, we're still having problems with the buyers. They're dilly-dallying around, and now the lenders are starting to get a bit more, they're contacting a lot more, and they're going to start proceedings. Is there something we can do? So I had to sit down with this vendor and ask them to basically explain the full situation and where they're at. And then it transpired that they actually had more debts, and the amount they owed the bank was £350,000. The debts came to £20,000. So the total amount that they actually owed would come to £370,000, £350,000 being secured against the property, and £20,000 being on credit cards and loans from people, etc. So I ended up saying, look, what we'll do is rather than offering you £350,000, what if I clear all of your debts? What if I take over the property, take over your mortgage? I'll basically sort out the property. Now, the property was in really poor condition. It had a water leak as well. And I said, look, let me take over the property. Let me take over your mortgage. Let me sort out all of the problems that are with the property, and let me also solve the problem that you have with your debts. I'll take over everything. I'll pay your mortgage. I'll pay you £370,000 for the property, but I'll pay you within 7 years. To do this deal, to get that option, pay you £1, and I'll pay your monthly mortgage, which is 1,024, plus an additional amount of 476, totaling £1,500 towards your debts, which they eventually agreed to. So that's what we did. So this is the structure as how we structured it. £370,000 to purchase the property anytime within 7 years for a fee of £1, and I'd be paying £1,500 a month. 1,024 would go towards a mortgage, and 476 was towards their debts. 474 towards their debts. I know it sounds really good, but this is what I got. I got a property with issues, with problems. It's not all roses. Yeah, so the day we done the contract, we had to go in and we had to board it up. The property had been broken into a few times. It had undesirables around the property, as well as maybe residing in there as well. We had somebody staying in there that wasn't really welcome, not exactly squatters, but they were basically using the place as a drug den. They went in, they'd nicked the copper, they'd had fires inside, they broke the windows. So yeah, it wasn't exactly a nice place. Yeah, here you can see some of the drug paraphernalia. So I know it sounds great seeing a property like this, but £1 to purchase a property and getting it on a 7-year deal, that's what everybody really wants to do. But after seeing the condition of this property, is that something you'd like to do, or would you have done that deal? Just put it into the comments. Is that a deal that you would still go for? Brilliant. Well, what I did was sold the deal on. And let me show you how I done it. If you remember, I bought it with a £1 option fee and purchase price of £370,000 within 7 years. And I pay the vendor a total of £1,500 per month. That covers their mortgage and their debts. I sold the same deal on to somebody else for £22,750. I offered it to them on a 3-year option. So they have 3 years to purchase the property. They've got the option to purchase the property at £450,000. So my purchase price is £370. When they exercise the option to purchase, they purchase at £450,000. Their monthly lease is £2,200. So mine is £1,500, theirs is £2,200. None of that comes off of the purchase price. My 476 does come off of the purchase price, by the way. So that's the difference. Now, this is a property which is 3.5 hours drive away from where I am. So I'm based in London. So this property is 3.5 hours away from where I am. It takes me quite a lot of time, money, effort to be able to go up and refurbish the property, and managing and maintaining it. I'd probably fall into the same problem that the vendor had previously, because they had somebody else managing it. So by selling the deal on to somebody else, I've given the option, given them the ability to do a deal, given them the option to purchase the property, and they've got into a deal for £22,750, which is way less than if they had to just go out and buy a property, raise a deposit, because they still need to spend all of the money to do the refurbishment. Now, this guy's also spent approximately £75,000 doing the property up. Now, this is a deal that I've not put any money, apart from the legals into, but I've got the option fee immediately as well, so I've gotten paid. Right? I've not had to do a refurbishment because the person going in is doing the refurbishment. Top of that, I've not taken out a mortgage or a loan. It doesn't come up on my credit file. But over a 3-year period, if they exercise their option to purchase, makes over £120,000. If you're liking these types of deals, guys, put you like the deals in the chat. Ray said, creating money out of thin air. It's not, look, although it might sound like you're making money out of thin air, it's not. You are exchanging a skill set for money. So I see it as I am helping vendors from getting out of the situation that they may be in. And by doing that, I'm using the skill set that I may have acquired over time to help them out. And on the flip side as well, I'm helping other people that may want to get on the property ladder, get onto the property ladder. Like I said at the beginning, if you help vendors with their situation, you're going to get paid. If you help buyers to get on the property ladder, you're also going to get paid. And basically, what I have done here is taken a vendor that had the situation and a vendor and a buyer that was eager to buy and just put them together, and in the middle made money. Ruth, need to understand it better. So look, with everything, it takes time. You're not going to learn everything in one day, but the more you open yourself up to these different creative strategies, sitting around people that are doing them, learning from people, reading books, YouTube, etc., the more you're going to learn, and the more you get comfortable with it, the more you'll be able to do it easily. Like potential, but yeah. Okay, Hesh, how did I advertise? Okay, so this buyer was actually one of my mentees. It's a very good question, actually. So this buyer was one of my mentees, and I was explaining how to do lease options, and I was showing him on a live deal, was explaining how much I was going to put it up for, how much I was going to market it for, and he popped the question, if I offered that amount to you, would you sell it to me? Which was a bit of a surprise, because he knew all of my base numbers, but I couldn't really say no. So yeah, I ended up selling it to him, and today we have a joint venture. We're actually buying more HMOs together. Where would be the best place to sell deals like this? You know what? You need to build a investor database if you're looking to sell deals like this. You need to be frequent in networking events, because you're going to find people that are interested in buying properties, people that are looking for deals. So you want to be around people that are looking for deals. You can build up a investor database as well. So you can start marketing, you can start with social media, letting people know what you do and what you offer, and maybe building up a investor database. Why would he pay 22K option? The 22K option, well, I would have sold it for more than that. That was my base number for the option. Whenever you're taking an option on a property or even on a business, you will pay a fee for the option. Now, the amount you're going to pay is something that may be negotiable. For me, I done it for £1, but that was because I was working with a motivated seller. With my buyer, I wanted to make sure they had some skin in the game, because somebody that's buying, I don't want to just walk away. They need to put some money into the deal, and if they walk away, basically they don't get that money back. Which area do you buy? Okay, so TR, I buy all over the country, so I have a slightly different strategy or approach to most people. Most people start with gold mine areas, which is good because you get to understand a certain area. But my approach is very deal centric. I'll buy anywhere in the country as long as the numbers stack. I don't manage my properties no more, so it doesn't matter where it is in the country. As long as the numbers stack, the end use will be outsourced to somebody else to manage. Do you set your own options? Well, Ruth has asked the question, do you set your own options? The terms, yes. I don't use like a set contract. We will always use solicitors to draw up the contracts. And please see the slide of the breakdown of what you're. Yep, okay. Let me just go back. So that's so Mel's asked the question, what we can you see the slide of the breakdown, what we offer the vendor. Yeah, so the deal was £1 was the option fee. Option term was 7 years and purchase price of 370. Okay, monthly lease was £1,500. On this, we paid approximately £2,000. So I have two sets of solicitor's fees, one for purchasing from the vendor and another one for buyer. So my total is approximately 4,000. And here are some pictures. I know the previous one was all drug paraphernalia. Like I said, I didn't do the refurb on this property. I'm not managing this property, but the guy who has gone in, he's refurbished it. He's made it look really nice. He's got tenants which are from the local hospital, and he's done it to a really good standard. And these are just the numbers. So that's how you could do or buy properties using these options. And you can buy properties that are more expensive than the market value and still find deals. Now, if you're thinking sometimes you always have to get below market value, please can you show the number once again? Yes, just give me a second. Here you go. No problem, Andy. Cool. Yeah, so if you're always thinking that you have to buy properties below market value, it doesn't have to be that way. You can buy properties for above market value, but as long as you can negotiate something like a lease option or even a vendor finance, those can also be deals. So a lot of people had looked at this property and walked away because of the numbers. It didn't stack. And even the initial buyers were apparently looking to do a lease option, but they couldn't structure it correctly or in a way that worked for the vendor. So Justin has asked the question of 1,500. Your commitment to the vendor is £1,500. How long is the mortgage fixed for? So one of the things we did when we took over the property was got the vendor to agree to a 5-year term with the lender. So there was arrears on the mortgage. It's a really, really good question. So it's going a bit more into depth. What we did, we got the vendor to agree to a new 5-year term with the lender. And with the lender, because there was arrears, we had to recapitalize, get those arrears recapitalized, and we got a 5-year discount, a 5-year fixed rate mortgage. So that's why it works. So we're not affected by the changes in base rates at this moment in time. So we're quite comfortable for the next 5 years. And again, once we get to the end of the 5-year term, if the rates are not favorable because of the base rate, we can ask the vendor to apply for a new mortgage, but do a product transfer. Do you have a script on how to approach vendors for financing? My approach is always ask the vendor what it is that they want, what it is that they need, look at their situation. There is no one set way. It's all about finding out what it is, what their situation is, and can you help? So I don't have an approach where I go and try buying properties. I often say to people, although I'm an investor, I don't buy properties. All I do is help people solve their problems. And as a result of what I do, I get property. So whenever you're speaking to vendors, always look at what is it that they need and can you help? You can't help everyone, but if they've got a situation where you can help and it makes both yourself money and it solves their problem, then possibly it's a win-win situation where everybody comes out with an outcome that is favorable. Cool. I've got one more for you guys as well, title splitting. So I showed you guys that you can buy properties and convert them into flats, but you can refinance doing the work. But what if you don't do the work? Can you make money from properties where you don't have to do any work? And yes, you can do that with title splitting. So I'm going to show you this one that I've done during the pandemic. So this property was on the market. All 4 flats are held on one title. It's It's a 4 flats, 2 2-bedders and 2 1-bedders on the beachfront in Sunderland. Now, it was on the market at what I would consider is market value. So there wasn't any BMV or anything like that. All of the flats had tenants in situ as well. So they were being sold with tenants in situ. Now, the reason why these deals are good, because sometimes they're not always on the likes of Rightmove. They're usually, or occasionally they're with commercial agents. And this one was with the commercial agent. So it wasn't with your residential agents. That's number one. Number two, most of these blocks can't be sold to buy-to-let investors or your regular house mover, first-time buyer, etc., because they're blocked. They haven't got individual leases. So your market is restricted. The only people that can buy are investors, cash buyers, people that have access to commercial funding. So that's why we went, looked at this one, looked at the numbers and thought, look, by doing the title split, creating individual leases, we can add quite a lot of value just by doing a paper exercise. Okay, so and I'm just reading the questions. I know that if the lease longer than 7 years, you want to register. Yeah, so if a lease is less than 7 years, it doesn't need to be registered. 7 years plus, it does need to be. Whether it's 7 years or less, you'd still want to put a restriction on there. You don't want to have a vendor maybe trying to sell it under your nose, etc. So you'd want to put some form of restriction on the property. Now, there are other things that you would want to do, things like having a power of attorney should they go missing or not want to sell. So you have the ability to sell without them being present as well. And although I had sold it on, it is 2 options basically. I have one and my buyer also has one. So when they execute their option, I execute mine. So there are 2 that are running simultaneously at the same time. It hasn't been sold directly on. Cool. So we come back to this, which was the title splitting. This was, as I said, four flats in one block. This was also featured on Property Investor News for title splitting and leaving no money in the deal. And when we first saw this property, this was the floor plans that I had a look at. And yeah, it looked fine. 2 2-bedders and 2 1-bedders. Yeah. This is a picture, floor plan and picture of the lower ground floor. First floor flat. Actually, that's the ground floor flat because it's an upper ground. And one thing you might see, there's a beachfront on one of the pictures. Yes, that's the view from outside of the window. Now, this property is in Sunderland and it's on the beachfront. I had no idea that Sunderland had a beach, but I was surprised. Yeah, so it was a good surprise to actually find out. Very similar layout, but really good sized flats. You can see the sizes. Some of these rooms are 5.5 meters by 5.5 meters. So just the living room alone is over 25 square meters. So you can imagine how big they are. Ray's asked, imagine the price in London. If that was in London, you would be looking at well above £1 million for the building. But the story with this one was we had agreed to purchase this property quite early on in the pandemic, and because of the pandemic, it dragged on a little bit because solicitors weren't working from their offices, etc. But one of the things was on the day that the survey was carried out, I did drive down from London to Sunderland, 5.5 hours to have a look at the property. I was there for 5 minutes, and 5 minutes with the surveyor. We went around the property, had a look, and then came back. On the day we were supposed to complete, I got a text message from the vendor saying that they cleared the garage, and I initially thought, you know what, he's got the wrong number. Probably not for me. I also got a message later on that day as well from the lease plan, the guy who's doing the lease plan, and he's asking me which flat should I assign the garage to. Now I got a little bit confused because I didn't know this property came with a garage, or didn't know that there was a garage with the property. So I phoned up my solicitor and asked him, you know, the property we're buying, does it have a garage? He goes, according to all the plans, there's no garage. Okay. So this was brought to me by a source, by the way. So I phoned him up and asked him, look, you know the property that I'm buying, does it have a garage? He goes, no, I don't know about any garage. But it turns out this garage was a bit of a bonus. Yeah, just like Guillaume says, yeah, there's a bonus. I found out I was buying a property and it had a garage attached to it that I had no idea about. So I told the lease client, look, add it to the lower ground floor. Makes sense to add it to that property. And obviously these are the floor plans, and nowhere does it show that there is a garage. We had a few problems. Look, property is one of the businesses where you're always going to have obstacles, you're going to have issues, you're going to have problems, but it's not about that, it's how you solve them. We had financiers who, because we've done an exchange with delayed completion, and during that period, the reason for doing an exchange with delayed completion was during that period, we would create the leases, do all the floor plans for the lease plans, etc., and have everything put in place. So the day we complete on the property, we will simultaneously do the title split. So on the day we actually completed, we've done the title split. That was our plan. But the financiers weren't having that because our searches were 3 months and 1 day old. So they were like, you need to basically get new searches. And went back to my solicitor, and he was like, yeah, we can get new searches done, but it's going to take approximately 17 to 23 days. And the vendor, when I was like, look, let's ask the vendor if they'll be happy to wait another, 17, 20 days. If they're okay with that, we can go ahead with it. They turned around and said, no, if you don't complete, then we're going to serve notice. You'll have 10 days, and then we're going to take you to court. So we ended up having to get the solicitors to get indemnity insurance, and eventually we did complete on it. It was on the 11th day, but they didn't sue us. They didn't sue us or anything like that. But that was very, yeah, it was a harrowing time. I had COVID as well at the same time. Ray's asked new searches as in comps. I will come to the numbers on there as well. When you say new searches, no, they're not for comparables for prices wise searches, the standard searches that you carry out during conveyancing. Some of the other things the financiers wanted us to do was get a minor report, asbestos report. The other thing was wet signatures. Because everything was closed, I had to do everything by courier. I ended up even going to central London with contracts and actually handing it to the solicitors on the very last day. And it was really difficult to do independent legal advice because it all had to be done over Zoom and witnessed. But here's the valuations that we got for the properties. We got 2 2-bedders and 2 1-bedders. The 1-bedders were valued at 145 and the 2-bedders at 170, giving us a total value of £630,000 for the 4 flats. And here are these are the actual pictures of the lease plans that were drawn up. And if you can see this area at the back, this is the garage that we did not know about. So what we decided was, now that we knew that we had a garage, we could make better use of it. So although we've already done the title split and created the 4 leases, we're going to split the lower ground floor into another flat and create another 1-bedroom flat. So we're going to have 2 2-bedders and 3 1-bedders. Although that's not exactly what we're going to do, because once we looked at, we could add another 1-bedder to the lower ground. We looked at all of the other flats and decided, look, we can actually convert those as well. So this is what we're going to do to the lower ground floor, convert it from just a single 2-bedder to a 2-bedder and a 1-bedroom flat. This is the upper ground floor. And we're going to basically take the kitchen that's there to the living room, because the living room, as I said, was really large, the 25 square meters plus. So we're going to move the kitchen to the living room and create a 2-bedroom flat out of the 1-bedroom flat. On the first floor, we're going to do a similar thing as well. We're going to take this kitchen here put it into the living room. Again, making a 2-bedroom flat out of this 1-bedroom flat. And on the second floor, we're just going to put in a simple partition, create a 3-bedroom flat. Now, these conversions don't cost very much, but you add value just by adding rooms. Yeah, so yeah, this is just a breakdown of what we're doing. But in terms of numbers, that's our current value. And just by doing those changes, just by doing those simple changes, we can add a substantial amount of value and take the value up to 745,000. Does anyone want to guess how much we purchased this property for? Put it in the chat how much you think this property you'd be willing to pay for this property. Obviously, you guys already know we've done a title split. It's in Sunderland. We've done a title split. This value will be once we do all of the other changes, like adding rooms as well as making one more flat. 250, 350, 250. A lot of people coming in at 250, 500. Kesha's coming at 500. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, multiple 1 to 2 bedrooms. EDC. Yes, 430. It was on the market for £380,000. Now, it was on the market for £380,000. We didn't even negotiate because that's what it was worth. It was worth £380,000, but the value wasn't in the purchase price. The value was in what could be done to the property. Just by doing a title split, which is a paper exercise, on the day of completion, we done the title split. We added a substantial amount of value to the property. Okay, so Hash has asked the question. The changes, we haven't done any of the changes so far. Shazad has asked, what is a title split? Okay, a title split is two types. You have freehold land, where if you split the land, then you create another freehold title. That is considered title split. Where you have a building, you have multiple flats, you can't sell it in the same way. You can't just split it up and sell it. So you create leases. When you create leases, you can then sell the individual flats. And that way, you've done the title split. That way, you can sell it to like investors. You can sell it to people buying on a buy-to-let. You can sell it to people buying it for their own, on residential purposes. So you open up a much bigger market. When you have a single block, buy-to-let investors can't buy it. Homeowners, they can't buy it because they can't buy part of the block because there's no way for them to really buy part of the block unless they're collectively buying with the other people within the block. So that's the reason why title splitting can add a substantial amount of value. Yeah, so the total value, total cost, of purchasing this property came to £402,000. So there was stamp duty, conveyancing, survey fees, lease plans, the new leases, and some miscellaneous costs. But remember, our total cost was £402,000. Shawbrook valued it up at £630,000, and what they were happy to loan was £471,000. Now, I know a lot of people think that doing no money down is difficult or it's not possible. It's a bit of a myth. But if you know, or if you have a system and you know how to use a system to create these values, adding values, that's how you can do this. And it doesn't have to be that you leave a small amount of money in the deal or no money in the deal. You can actually get paid to do deals. So if you can see on this one, the amount that Shawbrook paid out was £471,975. On top of that, this property rents for £3,000 per month, and it's been used for service accommodation. I've recently given it on a guaranteed rent, so I know what my income is and what my outputs are as well. So it just makes life easy and simple. But I got paid to buy this property, and it creates positive cash flow. As I said, we did have one tenant in situ by the time we completed, but all of the other tenants have vacated. We immediately started using those 3 flats for service accommodation. Our last one is also being used as service accommodation right now. Justin has asked, how much was the conversion work? There was no works for conversion because we haven't done that yet. our plan is to do conversions so I've got a 5-year product with Shawbrook. Closer to the time when it comes to renewal, that's when I'm going to do the conversions. Right now, I'm quite comfortable and happy to leave it as it is, but with the knowledge of knowing that I can add the value later on down the line. We estimated the works would come to approximately £80,000 for adding the garage, making that habitable, and converting the other 3 flats. The other 3 flats are in really good condition right now. So maybe after a few years, when it's had a little bit of wear and tear, that's when we'll decide to do the conversions. And these are some of the pictures of the property. Guys, if you've got any questions, please feel free to take yourself off of mute and ask away.
Awesome, Motiul, thank you so much. I think it was quite a really good session. Open the eyes on how you can actually add up multiple add value strategies all under the same deal, following your FABC framework. And I like your introduction also about your philosophy that you can always make money in property if you are providing a valuable service for the vendor, creating a valuable place for someone to rent out or buy, and generally adding value if you want to pass on the deal. So I think these are just really cool principles to live by. And then as you said, you're just walking around this earth solving people's problems, and somehow Shawbrook is giving you lots of money. So well done.
Thank you.
So if I work you through the chat, I think you went through lots of the questions as we went. It's lots of really good feedback and cool comments. So Ray was saying, like cash flowing without spending a penny on refurb is just gold. Ivan is asking, did Shawbrook land on what the future plans are or on the current plans?
No, Shawbrook lent on the title split.
Yeah.
So as soon as we've done the title split, they've lent based on the value of the property, based on it being title split. Okay, so you don't always need to get them to change the mortgage product. What you do need to do is get the lender to give you. Give me a sec. I'm just going to. The lender needs to give you the authority to let it out. So you need to get, number one, there are a few things you need to get. You need to get a letter of authority to be able to speak with the lender. That's the first part. And once you have got that, you need to get authority from the lender to be able to let the property out.
Yeah, consent to let, is it, or something like that?
Consent.
I can't believe these are the before pictures, Motiul.
No, this is the 4 flats. There's very little work to do. So let me see if I can open this up.
Awesome.
So these are the before pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even already had the grey wall and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we done very little work to the property itself. All we did was add furniture, got the gas certs. Yeah, very little work to do to the properties themselves, but we did have to add furniture.
Awesome. Yeah, because obviously you use it as a SA. Okay.
Yeah. So now we're using it as I say.
Awesome. Ivan is asking, do you have to do the title split within a certain time frame to satisfy Shawbrook? I think it's a question about going back around the timing of this revaluation and Shawbrook, refinancing with Shawbrook basically.
Okay, so currently the only issue you're going to have when it comes to revaluations is the revaluations happens on the day you do the title split. So we done the title split on the day of the purchase. The problem you're going to have is land registry, the time it takes to register with land registry. So some lenders will not lend until it's been registered with land registry, so you may have to wait. At the moment, land registry is very slow, especially during pandemic and after they've been taking a lot longer than they previously used to. That's the only thing that I would say that is going to be a bit of a problem. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. You can get your valuation. You can get the valuation done prior to you doing the title split as well, by the way.
Awesome, thank you very much. Ash is asking, sorry, I missed someone. So Cynthia is asking, who is your mortgage broker? If you don't mind sharing.
Okay, if you're okay with me sharing, I can share it as well. I've partnered up with Willow Private Finance, and I can put the details in. If I put it into the chat, will it go through?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'll put it into the chat if you want.
Awesome. That's for Cynthia. Ash is asking, excellent presentation, Motiul. Would love to find similar deals. Would you be able to recommend a reliable deal sourcer that you use?
Oh, reliable deal sourcer.
You want to become really good at finding deals. That's
Yeah, look, it's not about deal sources because these deals, your deal sources usually will not offer to you. They'll keep it for themselves. The reason sometimes deal sources offer you these deals is because they don't know how to do them. So I work with deal sources that will be finding deals, but they don't know how to structure the deals. That's the reason why I can do the deals. I think for you guys, you need to actually understand what are deals. And that's the whole point of today, is trying to understand what are deals, because a lot of these deals are under people's noses and they don't realize it.
Yeah, literally. And you guys, you got some secret tool that maybe can help you find some deals, but maybe you don't know what to do with them, or you're not quite sure how to structure it. So maybe reach out to Motiul and he can help you out, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, someone say thanks for sharing the journey. Well done. Cohen is asking, how did you find the deals being in London?
I'm on a lot of different groups within Facebook, but I also network a lot. One thing I find is people will come to you because of what you're able to do. So if you let people know what you do, let people know that you're a property investor, let people know that you help solve problems. If you let people know you can take on properties that might have structural issues, or you can buy quickly because you have cash, etc. These are the things, when people know that you have the ability to buy, they'll come to you when they have those types of situations or problems. Again, if you're speaking with deal sources, let them know that's the type of deals that you are able to move on, and they should bring you those types of deals.
Awesome. Zulfi saying, good to see you again, Motiul. Given that the garage wasn't on the plans, what gave you the hunch that there was a garage? So I think it was just the surprise on completion day, wasn't it?
I was very surprised on completion day. I was very happy as well, by the way. Why wouldn't you be? Yeah, I was very happy to find out that we'd got a garage with it as well. That was a very good bonus. But I had no idea that it had a garage. So all that time that we'd been doing the conveyancing process, I didn't have a clue until the day we completed.
Yeah, it was just the agent didn't put it on the plans, and then
No?
obviously when you completed, the vendor knew he had a garage,
Yeah.
and then on the plans there is on the title there is something, so it was a surprise at completion.
Yeah.
Shahzad is saying, great presentation, Motiul. I have to leave, catch up on LinkedIn. Ruth saying, did you have builders in your network before you started, or have you been looking for builders as you found your first deal?
I do have builders within my network. The thing is, I invest all over the country. So depending on where the area is, I can't take builders from London all the way up to Sunderland to do jobs. We'd look to work with somebody that's closer to the area. So every single deal is different depending on what's needed. Sometimes these deals don't require me to do any work. So the one in Sunderland didn't need any work. And sometimes I'm looking at how can I reduce my risk? I don't need to make all of the money. If I can offer somebody else the opportunity to make money, will they take on some of the risk? So the one in Doncaster, for instance, I offered it to somebody else. They've done all of the work. They even financed everything. So it's not always about trying to make all of the money.
Awesome. Salim saying, thank you, Guillaume. Thanks for another great presentation and the awesome Motiul Islam for another masterpiece showpiece. I have to go now. See you soon. So yeah, that's Salim from Isle of Wight. And then Motiul, you got a link to PPN Stratford. You want to go through this?
Yeah, anybody that wants to come to PPN Stratford, I've got my link tree up here now. If you want to jump on there is a link to PPN Stratford on there as well. If you want to come, whether it be online or in person. If you've never been before, by the way, just reach out to me. I'll give you a complimentary ticket. And as a bonus as well, for everybody that's on Property Filter today, this week with Guillaume, he did say, have I got anything that I can offer? As a bonus, anybody that would like to learn more about these types of strategies and what they should be doing or starting with, I do a strategy session. So if anybody that's interested in sitting down for a strategy session and working out what they should be starting with, or what the best types of deals for themselves. Take down my Calendly link and yeah, arrange a call with myself. It's totally free. Normally I charge $299, but jump on a one-to-one session with myself and we can have a little chat and see what you should be starting with, or if you're already investing, how to move on.
Awesome, Motiul, thanks so much. Very generous of you. So do take on Motiul's offer. I guess you get to have a chat one-to-one with the main man of today's session. So Motiul, thanks a lot. Do you have a sort of a closing sentiment, a closing thought for today? Something, a bit of a takeaway, giveaway for people who were here today?
Yeah, I think, look, it really is to do with, it's not, sometimes we think problems are an issue. To be honest with you, problems are not an issue. Problems are opportunity. So if you just change that mindset of like problems and think of them as opportunity, the more problems there are out there, the more opportunities there are also out there. So go out there looking for problems.
That's exactly right. Yeah, find the motivated sellers, find the problem, as I call the 4Ds: defect, divorce, death, and what's the other one? Debt. Yeah, exactly the ones we were mentioning as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, Motiul, for today's insights into your world of creative strategies and no money down deals. So thank you all of you for joining us on today's Deal Finder Corner. Reach out to Motiul to have your free entry to PPN Stratford, or indeed to claim his super deal where he offers 20 minutes of his time in one-to-one with you. So yeah, do check this link here. If not, we'll pop into the Facebook group again. In the meantime, visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprint where you can define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers, assets, properties in seconds, load your pipeline, and make deals. Have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1%, and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you really enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner with Motiul. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. See you guys.